Well, Dr. Duke Bradley, welcome to the Town Square Podcast.
Glad to be with you,
The
man.
incomparable Dr. Duke Bradley. Yes, I love saying that, man.
Look, am I making history today? This is my third time.
This is your third. I don't think
That's your seat.
We might as well get you a nameplate right there
That's
and
right.
just put it in front, because I think you've been here more than any other
That's
guest.
it.
Is
Yeah.
that correct?
This is history. Yep.
Well, this is fun. I'm
Yeah.
glad to be with you.
Yeah, it's good. And we're we wanted to have you on for a quick update because you have just led the charge and released some information out to the public that
Yes.
that we are just excited about. I mean, the school system's excited about, our
They can
community's
see me
excited
doing
about.
this now. Yeah.
And we just wanted people to hear it. We wanted people to hear this story. And so basically what we're talking about is the school system in partnership with the Chamber of Commerce and the Industrial Development Authority
Sure.
and our local businesses have put together a workforce development framework.
That's right. Wow.
And so we're going to get you to explain what that is in a minute. But just for our guests who are watching,
Yes.
we have the experts. You the hype man. And this is your vision and brainchild, and I know we'll talk about it in a minute. But we're going to have Dr. Shannon Buff, our executive director, one of our executive directors at the school system, and Dr. Tim Schmitt, director of CTAE and Workforce Innovation, will be coming on after the break, and they're going to be getting more into the details because they were, putting the hands on this framework. But
Yeah.
Absolutely.
anyway, I
That's
know we're
gonna be
excited
great.
about it, and we'd just love to hear. Give us a 30,000 foot, what is this workforce development framework? Why do we need it?
Yeah.
What's happening here?
Well, first of all, I think you're right. This is a collaborative effort between the school system, the Industrial Development Authority, and the Chamber of Commerce. And I think the inspiration for this work really began when I first came into the school system as superintendent. Really just getting out into the community, getting a sense of what was going on, what was on the hearts and minds of our community. And I think one of the themes that I consistently heard over and over again was this passion and interest in workforce development.
Mm-hmm.
And, it was top of mind for the Development Authority. It was top of mind for the Chamber of Commerce. Our school system had been doing some work around workforce development. But what I thought was lacking was a coordinated strategy and clarity around what it is that we were actually trying to accomplish through this. I think on one hand, there was a desire and interest to support and advance the interests of our business community. But I'm an educator. I'm superintendent of Newton County Schools. And so what was of interest to me is to make sure that we put students at the center of this work, right? And so, I really just began just kind of scribbling some notes around what would a coordinated strategy for advancing workforce development actually look like. And I think advancing is an important word because it is an expression of respect for the work that was already happening in the community and within our school system. The idea really was, I think, to make sure that we could be able to communicate to our community and to our business partners, here is what we want to do to make sure that we transition kids from a quality educational experience to be able to ultimately pursue their hopes, dreams, and aspirations in the world of work. Obviously, what we know is that the Top State for Talent Act is critical to maintaining Georgia's status as the top state to do business, the number one state to do business.
Right.
And we want to be a part of that,
Right.
And so I think our framework exposes or, kind of elevates some elements of what that means and what that would look like for our kids. And that we ultimately what we can do is we can communicate with boldness and clarity what ultimately we are producing for our young people when they graduate from Newton County schools.
That's awesome stuff.
Yeah.
Man. That's awesome stuff. So I like the way this kind of, when we talk about this whole thing, this kind of question, how it's phrased when we say, what problem does this actually solve? Like what problem is ultimately solved? How would you succinctly answer that question for our Newton County students?
I mean, I think what it does is it creates real direction for our young people from an early age to be able to move through the school system, move through experiences outside of the school system that ultimately position them to have success beyond their times at school, but beyond their days in our school district. I think if we don't have something that's structured for our young people, they are subject to go in any direction, right?
Yeah.
But I also think that public education today is so dynamic in terms of the opportunities that it creates for young people. We need to make sure that we are bringing those opportunities to their doorsteps with absolute clarity.
It almost sounds like, and correct me if this is the wrong word, but it almost sounds like kind of like a pipeline of sorts.
It's absolutely a pipeline,
Yeah.
right? But it's not rigid. It's much more exploratory, right? And that's why it's a K-12 continuum and not a 9-12 continuum. We think that beginning to think about life after high school really begins by what kids are experiencing as early as elementary school.
This is very true,
right?
Absolutely.
Kids have natural talent, skills, and abilities. They have to be cultivated. They have to be exposed to other things that they may not otherwise know are possible for them. And I think as a school system, it's our job to make sure that we're bringing them to them directly.
Trey, I am resisting the urge to be a preacher right now because he's saying something, and I'm thinking about this scripture: train up a child in the way that they should go.
Yeah.
Like, what that literally means is find their natural bend and then help them get there. Like, that is awesome, man. And that sounds like exactly what this is designed to do.
Well, that's what we hope the ultimate outcome is. Yeah.
And we have all these great jobs in Newton County, in the surrounding areas. I mean, we have the IDA has done a great job of bringing in big, good industry. And not like jobs like at Archer. We're not talking about, and there's nothing wrong with manufacturing jobs. We need those too. We need General Mills, and we need Bridgestone to make the golf balls that Tiger Woods has used for all those years, right? Like the iconic, like it's the Masters.
Yes.
You probably remember the year.
Yes.
It just the 15th, 16th hole, the par 3.
Yeah,
and that logo just sits there on the edge, right? And it's like Bridgestone.
Yes,
right
sir.
there.
Yes, sir.
Best commercial they ever had.
Yes, sir. Right here
in Newton County. So all those jobs exist, but our job in the school system is not just giving a kid a degree, like a diploma when they get to 12th grade. Like,
not at all.
We want to prepare them for these jobs that are in our community. And this starts not at like 10th and 11th grade or 12th grade, where they could do work-based learning, where you could, your senior year, work half the day and go to school half the day. Now, this is like in kindergarten, instead of using blocks to count with, you're using Bridgestone golf balls to count with, because now you're seeing, this is in my town. This is, you're not graduating 12th grade going, all right, now what do I do? It's like, man, I've known all along since I could walk, I could work at Bridgestone.
I think,
I
think really what it does is it speaks to this question of what is the measure of success for our school system?
Right.
And I don't think that the measure of success for our school system is necessarily that every one of our kids graduated with a 3.0 or above. I think the measure of success for our school system is, ultimately the community tells us, so this is kind of a personal belief. It is the extent to which kids, when they matriculate through our school system, are prepared to pursue their hopes, dreams, and aspirations.
Yes. Whatever those look like.
Whatever they look like, right? And I think that students are better positioned to have access and be competitive when they've been adequately exposed. And if we're not creating, and I think that also speaks to a personal belief that I bring to my administrative responsibilities. I try to set those aside a lot of times, because my real job is to make sure that I'm facilitating the desires of our community. But I do think that there is a core belief that I bring to this work, that the fundamental purpose of education is really to do two things: to advance student achievement and to create more access and opportunities for young people. The reason that I'm so bullish on this workforce development work is because I think that it helps to do both. I think that workforce development work increases student achievement and interest, and I also think that it fundamentally creates greater access and opportunity. That's why I'm so committed to this work. And I'll give you an example of why that I believe that's the case. If you go into any of the classes that we offer at the Career Academy, if you go into a robotics class or an engineering class, those classes look fundamentally different than a math class or an English class.
Right.
Right?
Yes.
Kids are experimenting. They're working cooperatively with their classmates. Even the relationship that they have with their teachers
Exactly.
are much more organic. There's a focus on learning.
Yes.
And that's different because in other classes, because what we've done is we've made it a space for failure. We've made it a space for tinkering. We've made it a space
That's
for,
good.
right?
Yeah.
That's what the professional world looks like.
Yes.
That you have an opportunity
Yes.
to do, like, you don't come out and know everything, can do everything. But I think that's what workforce development enables and engenders within our kids, this idea that they don't have to know everything,
Right.
but that they can, they can focus on learning and getting better. And, they don't have the pressures of A's, B's, C's, D's, or F's.
Yes.
They come into the classroom and say, look, I'm going to learn how to make this robot go 90 degrees and pick up this carrot and bring it back.
Yep. And therein, I want to know if I can do this as a career,
That's right.
Which is why I'm assuming you call this a launch pad to opportunity for these very reasons.
That's right. And here's the thing. When you can create that kind of environment or learning experience for kids from kindergarten all the way through 12th grade, I think that they are much better prepared to be successful in what their post-secondary pursuits may be. Right. And that's why I think this workforce development work is so incredibly important. That we create these pathways, we create these internships and externship opportunities, mentoring experiences. It's all of that I think that contributes to the success of young people.
Man, that's great. And this feels bigger than a Newton County initiative.
It does.
And I know, like you've mentioned, Georgia's been the best place to do business for, I think, 9 or 10 years running. So
without a doubt,
we know there's an infrastructure there to help support this. But we've seen praise from leaders like the state superintendent Richard Woods, the Technical College System of Georgia's their Commissioner Greg Dozier, who lives in Newton County, by the way. He's
does he?
Newton County graduate.
I did not know that.
Yeah. So the TCSG Commissioner Greg Dozier, he was there at the big revealing and just a couple of weeks ago. And then the Georgia Chamber CEO, Chris Clark, has even shown some interest in this thing. So, if state leaders are responding like this to the work in Newton, how do you see this becoming like maybe a model even for the whole state of Georgia?
Well, in the framework, we it's just not work. It's just, we have goals that are associated with, if we do this work right, what can we actually say has happened for the benefit of young people? So we've got a number of goals. But if you achieve all of those goals, then I think it becomes a model, right? But, Commissioner Dozier, I think, also served as a bit of an inspiration for this work. A couple years ago, the Chamber sponsors these executive connection talks. And Commissioner Dozier was giving a talk about the power of a technical college education and how it can help to spawn increased economic development. And I was thinking about, what's the role of the school system in that? The imagery for me was really clear.
Yes.
You had business and industry popping up, Archer, Takeda, Rivian, Bridgestone, legacy business and industry in the community as well. But around those businesses in those industries are families, households with kids.
Right.
And those kids attend schools that are located in the shadows of where all of these new industries are popping up. And I think that it's our responsibility as a school system to say, what are we doing to ensure that those kids have access to the jobs that those businesses are actually creating? And if we haven't done that, then shame on us.
Right, exactly.
Because those opportunities are happening within the shadows of where they live and where they go to school.
That's good stuff.
Yeah, and so much of what we've heard in the community is not everyone graduates from high school and wants to go to higher ed. Some do want to go to technical school, or some just want to get back just straight into the workforce. I think this workforce development framework helps even with that, right? Like it prepares from the early ages, right? Like
100%.
you said, prepares them for wherever they want to go post graduation.
100%. And then that's when I believe that unleashes the magic of what a school system can actually do for kids, right? If people, I look back on my educational experience, I think about the relationships.
Yes.
But I want our young people to look back on their educational experience and say, had it not been for what we did, what I was exposed to in my school system,
Right.
I would not be where I am today.
That takes the words right out of my mouth, because I was sitting here listening to this and I was like, man, I wish I had something like this when I was growing up in school. Because like you said, yeah, relationships. I remember some of my friends, some of my teachers, but I mean, I didn't really find anything that grasped my career aspirations till I was like a junior in high school. You know, if somebody would have told me as a fourth grader that I could do journalism and media work and this is what it is, and let me present it to you in a fourth grade way, I'd be like, oh, really? I can jump in front of a TV and talk about sports and get paid for it? Wow. You know, I mean, that would have been a game changer, because from fourth grade, I'd have been like, yeah, I'm going to be a sports journalist.
That's what I'm going to do.
That's what I'm going to do when I grow up.
Yeah.
And so everything I do, I'm even thinking about, man, that could have motivated me, because, you know, here's the question you always get from kids when you're math class. I hate math class. Why am I ever going to need to use this?
Yeah.
What am I going to do with this?
That's a fair question.
It is a fair question, because I don't think I've ever used a quadratic equation. I don't even know what it's called anymore. Quadrinomial, whatever. But you know, it would have given for me more purpose to, okay, why am I even doing some of this mundane stuff that I don't like? Even if I don't like it, it'll help me get quicker to what I do like, because I'm in this mindset that I'm going to be a journalist, because workforce development framework has shown me as a fourth grader that I can do this. Like, so you understand what I'm
absolutely.
saying?
But here's the thing. If you were engaged in coursework that was relevant and meaningful to you and cultivated things that were of natural interest to you, you know what? You come to school every day.
Come on.
You stay out of trouble.
Yes.
You get better grades.
Yes.
Right? You are inspired and motivated to come and do good work.
How can I go the extra mile even? Yeah.
Well, if that can happen for you, think about if we can do that for all of the kids. And I know that's aspirational, but if you just do that for 50% of the kids, you transform a school system.
Yeah. And a community.
And definitely you transform a community.
They're connected.
They're connected.
Yeah.
100%.
Well, so just give us a big, like, 5 to 10 year, what does this look like? Like, what does success look like? And we're touching on it right there, right? Like when 50% of your kids are better, are you know, exposed to jobs in their area or interests that they may have, that prepares them and catapults them, really prepares them, like puts them above everyone else. They're ready. They're more ready than someone who didn't have this opportunity. 5 to 10 years from now, what does that look like for our community?
Yeah.
Oh my gosh. Well, let me begin with what I think it looks like for the school system. The workforce is changing. I was reading a stat on my ride in today that said 23% of 2025 graduates of Harvard Business School were unemployed because of AI.
23% of
Harvard. So there's a
grads.
thought that AI is going to wipe out a good percent of white collar jobs, entry level white collar jobs.
Yeah.
If the workforce is changing, and if the manner in which we do business is changing, then the way we educate our kids has to change as well. So that is not to say that our model is antiquated, but we have to progressively reimagine what public education actually looks like, the curriculum that we expose our kids to, the flexibility that kids should have to be able to choose their own career pathways. And so I think 5 to 10 years from now, you should be able to walk into our schools and say, you know, this school system and across all 24 of our schools looks like what the world of work is going to look like.
I like that.
And I think this is kind of a first step toward that goal.
Man, that's incredible.
You all right with me? See, this is why this is why I always call you the incomparable Duke Bradley III. At first I did it just because your name sounded regal. You know, that was why I did it at first. But now that I know you and see some of the heart and vision that you have, like stuff like this is amazing, man. This is amazing.
I should say that the ideation is a collective effort.
Right.
You know, my team is always talking me off the ledge around, no, we can't do that, Doc. We can't do that. But you know, I think, you know, it's important to dream big.
Sure.
And, you know, and for whatever is left from what's not possible or practical. I still think that if we do that well, we can change lives.
Absolutely.
Man, that's
I love
great.
it.
Well, look, we're going to take a quick break. Thank you so much for being here today.
Absolutely.
Yes, sir.
But when we come back after a word from our sponsor, we're going to hear from Dr. Schmitt and Dr. Buff, who've really put
Those
the
are
meat on the
experts.
bones. So,
Absolutely.
all right. Thanks a lot.
Thank
you, sir.
All right.
This episode is brought to you by Main Street Land and Properties. Main Street Land and Properties is your trusted partner for all real estate needs, specializing in commercial and residential property management, brokerage services, real estate development, and construction management. As both a real estate developer and broker, Main Street provides expert guidance in commercial real estate sales while fostering growth within our community. Their comprehensive approach ensures a seamless experience whether you're buying, selling, investing, or managing property. Main Street Land and Properties is more than a real estate company. They are a one-stop destination dedicated to building stronger communities and lasting partnerships. Stop by and see them at 2141 Emory Street Northwest in Covington. That's 2141 Emory Street Northwest in Covington, or visit them on the web, mslap.com. That's mslap.com. Huge thanks to the good people over at Main Street Land and Properties for sponsoring this episode. All right, Dr. Schmitt and Dr. Buff, welcome to the Town Square Podcast.
Thank you.
Thank you.
So glad to have you guys on today. We just went to a break, even though we're recording this separate days, but we just went to a commercial break where Dr. Bradley was giving us the flyover, the 30,000-foot view of the new workforce development framework. And I know that's just what I've been calling it. I know you guys might have a technical term for it. Is that close?
No, I think you're right.
Okay.
A framework for advancing workforce development for Newton County schools.
That's
is
it.
The official title, but workforce framework I think works.
Okay.
I think that's what we call it.
Oh, good.
On
All
the
right.
side. So.
Well, I want to do a quick introduction for you guys, for folks who are watching who may not know who you are. Now I know you've been in the paper a lot for the awards and such, but just give everybody your official title and what you do for the school system.
So I'm Shannon Buff. I'm the Executive Director for School Leadership. Kind of a fancy title I oversee all of our high schools, our special schools, and I have one elementary school as well.
Okay. Executive Director of School Leadership.
Correct.
Got it. See, I botched that earlier. Dr. Schmitt?
You're good. I'm the director for CTAE and Workforce Innovation for the school system.
Nice.
So what that means is my primary responsibility is to work with our career and technical ed programs, grades 6 through 12, although we're pushing down into elementary school now. But I also manage our college and career specialist team as part of our Title IV-A work. And so that really kind of broadens that scope into helping to figure out what are we doing to help kids be what they want to be and get where they want to go. And so it's all related, I think, to careers, helping kids get from point A to point B and explore the world around them.
Yeah, well, that's a big job too, man. Appreciate you being here. Now, is it also your birthday?
It is my birthday.
Happy
Today is my birthday.
Go ahead,
I heard
Dr.
you were
Buff.
going to sing to
You
me.
want to take it? Take a rant?
No.
Okay. Can I ask how many?
48.
Hey.
Today is 48.
Look at you. I ought to guess 38.
No.
No
I don't want to be 38 again. I like 48.
Yeah, good, man. You wear it well.
Good, thank
All
you.
right, both of you guys are UGA grads, right?
Yes.
Okay, so I think just before we jump into the framework,
Take a moment of silence for the weekend.
Right?
Yes.
Yeah, we just witnessed a tough loss to Alabama again, and 9 times again out of
That's
the
right.
last 10.
That's right.
Were you were there?
I was there.
Was it worse in the stadium? A lot of dejection.
There was just so much hope
Yeah.
until the very end. But yeah, I mean that walk out, hearing them sing that Rammer Jam or whatever that song
boo.
is.
No.
Yeah.
Yeah, the bad part for me is I just sent my oldest son off to Georgia Tech, and so he posted on Instagram that now there's one undefeated team in Georgia.
Oh my goodness.
I was like, son,
That is low.
That degree I have from Georgia helps pay for you to be where you are. So let's don't stab anymore.
No.
But
This is the only year he can really say that in a long time,
correct.
too.
Long
So-
time.
He's got a lot of confidence going into the rest of the season. So
Oh, really?
We'll see how November goes for him. But
Yeah, no kidding.
Well, we had a friend with us too, David Clements, who used to work here in the county, and he did a good job of not gloating.
Oh,
too
because he was a
much.
Bama fan.
Yes,
Yeah.
and he got heckled on the way in, but he was. Humble.
Oh man. Well, it was tough being a UGA alum this past weekend, and even just American too. The Ryder Cup. We got another chance. I
They
don't know if
tried
you
to
guys
make it interesting.
There's that,
They
it's like that
tried.
sliver of hope right there at the end,
They
and then
tried.
just
Yep.
our hearts were crushed again by those Europeans. Let's talk about workforce development framework,
All right.
because you guys are the masterminds behind this program, this framework, all the work you guys did with Sarah Hall from with the Industrial Development Authority. I know you guys have been talking for a long time, really, for years and years, about how do we increase our workforce development, how do we get kids ready to get into some of these great jobs we have in our community, and so you guys felt the need to put together some sort of framework. So as Bradley gave us kind of the overview, just if you could sum up, what would you want to accomplish with this framework? Like, what is the main goal?
I think for me, it's really converging, molding all the work we've been doing over these times. This is year 11 for me. Shannon mentioned earlier she hired me. She takes credit for me being here. But
good job.
But literally,
Thanks.
like in a couple of days, it's my 11-year and 1 month anniversary.
I've only regretted it a couple of times.
Yeah,
To be clear.
yeah. And so we're proud of a lot of the work that we've done, all of the work that we've done in this realm, I think, over time. And so the framework is a way to really rally the troops and put out something that I think everyone can point to, and also expand that reach outside of just the CTAE world into sort of a whole school model or a whole district focus on developing that workforce and broadening, I think, the definition of what workforce is. And so I'm looking forward to seeing that play out.
So that was one of my questions when I saw it originally kind of rolled out. We had a great convening or rolling out of the plan or whatever out at the Georgia Bioscience Center, I think it's called.
Yeah.
A lot of dignitaries there, folks from the state. Superintendent Richard Woods was there from state Department of Education. So it was really cool. But I was seeing in there it's like when I think of CTAE, I think of high school, right? Or I think of, that's how I kind of see it, 9th through 12th, and preparing kids for all those different careers. But you got this framework takes it down into kindergarten. And so there's these 3 E's I'd love for you guys to talk about if you can. Just the framework begins in kindergarten through 5th grade with exposure. And then 6th through 8th is exploration. So from exposure to exploration. And then, of course, 9th through 12th would then be the experience or the experiences. How does that work? Like, what does exposure mean? What is exploration? I mean, I can intuitively kind of gather some of it, but just maybe what would it look like?
Yeah, I use the term in the convening, students, especially young ones, don't know careers they don't see out in the wild, right?
Okay.
I mean, we see what happens in the, retail stores. We see what happens in the doctor's office. We see what happens in school buildings. We see community helpers out and about, but we don't see what happens in a Takeda or in a research automotive or what happens in a clinical lab in a hospital. And so when you talk about exposure, it's really broadening students' experiences and what they know exists in the world. I just read the other day, you can't be what you can't see.
Yeah.
So students, people, I don't even think it has to be students. I mean, truthfully, if you don't get to go tour and visit some of these places, you don't know what happens behind the closed door of a box you drive by every day. General Mills is a good example. You drive by General Mills all the time. If you're in and around Covington, you smell General Mills often.
I can smell the Honey Nut Cheerios.
When they're cooking Cinnamon Toast Crunch, man, it's great if the wind's blowing right. But you really don't know what goes into that, right? So I think breaking down the barriers and misconceptions of what happens in there, and also understanding that there's a lot of variety of jobs in each of those buildings, regardless of what sector it is. And so for me, at the elementary level, the exposure is really just that, right? Like letting folks know what all these opportunities are so they chime in and say, wow, I never thought about being and you fill in the blank because they heard about it or they saw it or they got to experience.
I mean, you always hear kids when they're little, they want to be teachers or police officers or firefighters.
Astronaut.
nurses, like those kinds of things. And we need those kids to be those things, but we also need them to be a computer programmer. We need them to be an industrial welder or even a mechanical engineer. So really making the connections with those robots you're playing with.
Yeah.
That could actually be something you do when you grow up. And so that exposure, I think, is really one of the key things that makes this framework different from other types of workforce development.
Right. And like even in, let's say you're in middle school now and you hear about, I do this math. Well, I'll never use this kind of math. And they go, well, you could be an accountant or you could be, a risk management insurance guy or whatever. And you're thinking, so that sounds like just a guy who goes to sit in an office. And you're like, no, every one of our companies, big industries, have all those positions in their companies too, right? So it's not like Bridgestone just makes golf balls.
Right.
Well, they do, but there's accountants in there. There's, people who are doing accounts receivable, accounts payable. Like there's these myriad of jobs that exist in those buildings, like you're saying. And even some of the boxes that you drive by some of the boxes you don't drive by. So who drives through Stanton Springs on their way to work?
Right.
No one, but that's where your big Takeda is and Meta, and there's 4 or 5 other things out there too. They're huge.
We got the opportunity to go to visit Rivian, and that was one of the things that really stood out to me was, the questions were, well, what kind of kids do you want coming straight out of high school? Do you want them to have this or that? And the person we were talking with said, I want them all. I want the kids that are coming directly out of high school. I want the kids with 4-year degrees. I want the kids with doctorates. We have places for them all. And so I think that's just kind of a misconception when you talk about workforce development, but changing that narrative has to happen earlier. And I think that's one of the things that's really important, especially in middle school, is building more awareness about those careers and about the specific opportunities that exist in our community. I think a lot of times when you talk to a kid about something like, mechanical engineering, they think of going somewhere else. And we have so many of those opportunities in our community.
Right. Yeah. Even like the aviation engineering, right?
Absolutely.
We got like Archer and places like that too. That's crazy. Well, to me, that was just a unique part of the framework. The framework itself is a massive thing. We'll put a link to it. I think if it's public, right?
It is.
We'll put a link to it in the show notes so people can really look at the depth of it. But one of the things in the work in the framework is talking about this workforce ready school designation. So I guess getting each one of our schools kind of with a designation saying, hey, you're now ready to teach this, or you've accomplished these things. Like what goes into that? If you were to, Mansfield Elementary is now a workforce ready school.
You'll see Tim sit up real high. This is his favorite
I'm
part.
excited about this, really, because I think this is where we're going to see the movement. We're going to see schools take it and roll downhill with it because, when one of the schools gets designated as workforce ready and, we get a little pomp and circumstance and a banner hanging in the lobby, we know others are going to follow.
Right.
And so it's the nature of, I think, being human, right? You want to be involved in good things that are happening. You want to be celebrated. And so the designation program gives us a chance to celebrate the work that's going to move this framework forward.
They've already started. Like they've already,
they're asking.
They're already like throwing jabs at each other. Like
the principals,
we're going to be the
like
first one to get it in high school. We're going to be the first one. So yeah.
That's right. So we looked at some best practices, other things that are designated or certifications or even accreditation. And we say, what do those things have in common? How can we make this make sense to educators? We talked with business and industry. We talked with our IDA. We talked with all kinds of folks. And we looked at Georgia STEM certification, STEM and STEAM. We looked at our EDP, the Economic Development Partnership process that we were, part of the first group in the state to go through. And really wanted to put a structure in place where schools could organize their work, document their work, and then celebrate the great things as we have people come in. And so we put 6 buckets together, and I listed them here just so I didn't mess them up. The first bucket is a culture of workforce readiness. And so that would be things, we want to see school-wide buy-in on this idea, not just that you hung a poster or you've got a career day, but that there's a culture of sort of workforce readiness. Second one is a business and industry partnership bucket. And so, we've got partners in ed, we've got business and industry partnerships here and there, but really to make that a key component is a big piece. And that's two-way, really. How can we help them? and how can they help us, right? I think a lot of times people think Partners in Ed is, will help us do this, help us do that. But really, if you think about it through a workforce lens, it's about, even in elementary school, like those kids are the future workforce. And it's really not that far down the road, 10, 12, 15 years for a company who's trying to do groundbreaking advancement work is really kind of their sweet spot.
And Sarah would want to make sure that we said that these partnerships are not just about pizza parties.
Oh, she loves the pizza party.
Yeah, it's not just about pizza party. It's about really digging in and getting kids what they need to be ready, and especially at that elementary level. You know, going beyond here's pictures, but the STEAM Academy, Dr. Dozier put together their career day last week. And, you know, Takeda was there with little vials, letting kids have those kind of experiences and exposure to things that they wouldn't normally get. So that's the kind of thing we're talking about.
With like real blood?
No.
Oh, okay. Good. Right.
I think it was food colored water.
I think it was food
right?
color. Yeah.
Yep. But those meaningful connections, and even simple things like counting and sorting, right? We were in Research Automotive not long ago, and I had an elementary person with me. And they have these little clips that robots pick up and put in the different parts that they put that snap them into the car. And the elementary person was like, this is counting and sorting. Like, can we have some of those clips?
Yeah.
And so if you're teaching kids to count and sort manipulatives, why not do it with something produced here, used here, and tie in, hey, I know you're 6, but these little clips hold the thing on your car. And by the way, they're made 10 minutes down the road.
Right.
And
you can work
just
there one day.
planting that seed.
Yeah.
That, oh, wow, this is, you know, we can count and sort lots of things. And so that's another example. The third bucket is exposure, exploration, planning. That's really where we talk about guidance and advisement, right? What are we doing to help kids explore and then kind of get some experience and see what they like and what they don't like. Part of this is also about ruling things out.
Okay,
right?
yeah.
You know, you think you might want to be X, Y, Z, and so why not early and often kind of experiment with that and find out if that really suits you and where you need to tweak. Then we have workforce readiness activities. That's just the bones of, you know, what are you doing workforce related, career days, STEM expos, robotics tournaments, even science fair projects. You know, all of those things can be tied into workforce readiness. Soft skills too, right? Like communication skills, problem solving, all that stuff.
That soft skills part is really important to me. You know, as someone who was a high school principal, a lot of those soft skills that kids need, of course, they can be taught at any grade level, but the younger they are, learning to do some of those things, the better off they're going to be. Because by the time a child's in 9th, 10th, 11th grade, they kind of have, you know, who they are is already kind of formed.
Yeah, a lot of the habits are there.
Yeah, it's a change versus something that becomes natural to them because they learned it in early grades. So I really like the idea of getting those soft skills at younger grade levels. And I think you were at the chamber event with me when the labor commissioner was here. That was something we heard consistently from business and industry was, you know, soft skills. And so really getting that earlier, I think, is something that's important.
Yeah. I want to see a third grader shake my hand and look me in the eye.
Yeah.
100%.
Yeah.
Hi,
absolutely.
I'm Billy.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. Well, and I think too, soft skills are evolving. You know, soft skills include communication, eye contact, all those, you know, workplace behaviors, but they're also, as we think about the future of work, we don't really know what that is. And so some of those soft skills are just adaptability.
Right.
You're right.
Like being able to pivot and figure things out or change or learn more. How do you use a robot as a coworker instead of a manipulative tool, right? I mean, all of those things. So when you talk about soft skills, I think you're also talking about these innovation ready skills.
Yeah.
And so that's a piece of kind of the work that we see happening throughout all the grade bands.
And the communication piece, right? So, you know, one of the things we talk about is kind of melding this workforce framework with our framework for teaching and learning in the district. And so the framework for teaching and learning is still in development. And we have a great opportunity to kind of create this seamless experience for kids because we're developing both things at the same time. And I think, you know, when you really look at what business and industry want to see out of their workforce, a lot of that is the same things that we want to see happening in classrooms, like working together in teams, knowing how to communicate with your partner, those types of things. And so I think it's a really good opportunity for us.
Yeah, man.
And we're almost done. We're going back and forth through this idea of the designation, but the last two buckets in the designation are staff learning, because, you know, we believe education is workforce development. And when you ask a group of teachers or educators, counselors, principals, who in the room is a workforce developer, typically they don't raise
go
their
me,
hand.
me. Yeah.
But we've got one of the largest pools of workforce in the county, right? We've got them captive every day from 8 to 5 or whatever hours they go to school. And we are developing that workforce through soft skills, through academic content, through hands-on, project-based instruction, whatever it is. And so staff learning, really helping teachers understand their role is how it fits here, not just in a career component, but how the academic content you're teaching is also developing that workforce. And then finally, sustainability is the last component we look for in that designation piece with schools. If the principal gets promoted, what happens if the biggest cheerleader in the school for this effort moves to a different school or whatever it is, like we got to be able to sustain this work. And so you see that a lot when you look at different designations or certifications. It's great that you put it together, over the last 12, 18 months, but how's this thing going to last and make a difference in the future? And so all of those pieces of the puzzle, schools will develop, work through, document, we'll bring a team in, kind of celebrate the great things, give them some suggestions, close and grows. And then ultimately our IDA will stamp a certificate, sign a certificate, hang a banner and say, look, these folks are moving in the right direction. Yeah. They're designated. And then we foresee a 3 or 5 year sort of redesignation process to where they can document all the great things that happen after the initial designation.
Right. That's great. And I love that the IDA, like an outside authority, is the one who's going to be stamping like, hey, we recognize as the people who bring these industries in and help retain these industries, we know what their needs are. We see that school's ready to produce a great workforce for that industry. Stamp of approval.
Right.
That's pretty cool. Great partnership too.
It is.
Again, with the help of Sarah Hall as the executive director. I want to keep giving her shout outs.
We'll probably brag on her a little bit throughout
Sarah's been
the
a great partner.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah. Well, the whole CTAE, so the area which you're, career technical agricultural education.
Correct.
I'm close anyways. That's the right.
Good
I
job.
think your words. I might get the adverbs mixed up or something, but the CTAE coursework that we have at our schools already in 9th through 12th and dual enrollment, like are there, this may not even be part of the framework, but it would be pulled into the framework now, I guess. If we're already doing some of this, is what I'm saying already. It's already happening in the schools. Right. CTAs there, pathways, all these different things that help kids come out. Do they come out with a certification of any kind? Can they? And then will some of these pathways or dual enrollment, does it transfer into post-secondary if they want to do that?
This is the part I get excited about.
Yes and yes. I mean, our CTA students do come out of most of our pathways with industry credentials. They all have some sort of credential of value is what we call them. Some of those are Microsoft Office certifications. Some of those are Autodesk certifications. Some of them are, CNA certificates for nurse assistants.
But you get them in high school.
Get them in high school.
That's great.
Yep.
Yeah.
And even, in the framework, we've got some credentials, some certificates for soft skill credentialing at the elementary level and the middle school level.
Well, that's cool.
And so we even have an opportunity where some of our middle school students can get some of these certifications as well. You talk about Google certifications or Amazon Cloud Computing certifications or Microsoft Office certifications. Those are things that our middle school students are perfectly capable of doing that we're teaching in our schools. And so again, part of the idea of it probably shouldn't wait until you're 17 or 18 years old for us to start building that resume for you to make you more marketable, to give you a step in the right direction. I think, the framework again takes the great things we've been doing and then spreads that and say, wait a minute, let's reimagine what this might look like from a certification. And dual enrollment's the same way. We've got some dual enrollment programs in the CTAE world that offer kids TCCs and certificates and a path to the technical college, or in some cases an associate's degree or a 4-year university, that layer right in on all of that. And so Shannon gets pretty pumped up about our dual enrollment work.
So for years we've been trying to increase advanced programming in the district, and this was 20 years ago when I
Mhm.
began teaching. That was something that we were working on. And we've been able to do that a lot through AP. You saw recently all of our AP scholars at all of our schools. Really huge accomplishment. But we haven't been able to expand dual enrollment in the same way. And so a lot of that is because there's been barriers that have been in place for our kids. And so I told a story at the convening from when I was a high school principal. Someone came in and said, you have pretty low dual enrollment numbers. Are you just not pushing dual enrollment? What's the reason for that? And so I walked them across the commons area and I pointed to the back parking lot. And I said, this is the student parking lot. And the person said, well, where are the cars? I said, that's my point. There's a barrier in place for dual enrollment through transportation. So fortunately, we have a great partner in GPTC. And so we've been able to start removing some of those barriers. And this year, I'm super excited because we have English 1101 and 1102 being taught in all of our base schools. And we also have engineering courses that are through GPTC as well, being taught at all of our base schools. And so what we did was we looked at a model that was going really, really well at Newton College and Career Academy. And we said, if we can do it there, why can't we do it other places?
Right.
And so, I'll give President Holston some credit for that because we told him kind of where we felt the barriers were. And he just basically said, let's remove those barriers. And so, it hasn't been, seamless. We've had bumps, along the way, but we've been able to really get those courses up and running. They're going really well. The teachers that are in the high schools are there to support the kids who are actually being taught by the collegiate level professor. And so, I'm super excited, and our plan is to expand that next year as well. So these kids get an opportunity. And we were really specific about targeting kids who may not have done dual enrollment before. So we're really trying to expand that equity and access in the process of also getting the kids involved. And, business and industry love that.
Right. Yeah.
They love seeing that we're giving kids opportunities to already be engaged in collegiate level work at the high school level.
Yeah. And I love that. And when I first heard about, our efforts here and Dr. Holston's partnership with Georgia Piedmont Technical College, like we were in a board meeting. I got a little bit emotional just because I was like, this is brilliant that kids who didn't have the transportation to get to Georgia State, who's a great partner too, but couldn't get to Georgia State, didn't have the transportation. Like, let's solve that problem. We were able to solve that problem in a way in which kids who might not even think right now, right or wrong, just I don't think I'm college material, but then they take an English 1101 class and do well in it, and they're like, wait a minute. I can do this, right? Like I can do this, but because they're getting that opportunity in that school building, they don't have to leave. There's no obstacles to it. We've removed those barriers.
Well, those courses, the 1101 and 1102 were picked specifically because they will transfer to any school, whether it's a technical college or a university system school. And so, we were really specific about the courses we chose so that the kids do have options. You can go to GPTC if you want to. You can go to the University of Georgia with those credits as well. So that was really intentional. And then I think Tim can speak a little more about the engineering, but I think that was also purposeful as well because, we wanted kids to be closer to that TCC that they needed to be able to come out of our schools and go specifically into, some sort of engineering field.
Yeah. And again, I think it's about marketability, right? I mean, a lot of our industry partners will take someone straight out of high school. Most of them, though, want you to engage in some additional learning, whether it's through the technical college or whether it's through training programs that they put on. I mean, we know that not everybody has to go to college to be successful, but we also know that lifelong learning is required no matter what career you do.
Yeah.
And so, being able to dose engineering dual enrollment programs or even the English 1101, 1102 into high school with students who maybe feel like they're not college material doesn't mean college is the answer for everybody. But what it means is we're planting that seed that, look, you're going to have to continue to learn and better yourself through whatever means. You can do it when it's not just the thing you have to go to because the law says you got to be in school. Like you ought to be seeking those opportunities. And so when we put the engineering program in, we picked that one specifically because, of course, where we're located and our industry need that engineering mindset, problem solving, technical competency when it comes to sort of mechanical and technician type work, it was a good fit. So the students are taking an intro to engineering course right now, and then the second semester they'll take an introductory drafting course, which again, knowing how to create schematics, read schematics, understand, how parts are created and pieced and scale and all that. It transcends, I think, lots of different career fields.
Sure, yeah.
And just broadens sort of the kind of creative thinking, problem solving, critical thinking component, which is good even if you're going to be a doctor.
Yeah. I mean, or even just at a homeowner. Like,
Correct.
I've got to put this IKEA furniture together.
Yeah,
I remember in high school when I had that engineering thing.
You could draw the IKEA instructions.
There you go.
There you go.
Oh, man. This episode of the Town Square Podcast is brought to you by Luther Rice College and Seminary. A community's well-being often reflects the spiritual health of its people. That's why a local Christian college like Luther Rice is a critical voice in our time and culture.
You're absolutely right, Trey. And for me, this is more than just an ad read because I'm actually a Luther Rice alumnus. So my degree there helped prepare me not only for ministry, but also for engaging with the community in meaningful ways.
Yeah, same here. I trusted Luther Rice for my education too, and I can tell you firsthand, they're committed to shaping leaders who impact the church, the marketplace, and the world.
Absolutely. So listen, whether you're a high school student looking for a biblically based dual enrollment option, an adult learner wanting to deepen your biblical knowledge, or a working professional looking for development to impact your workplace, Luther Rice is a trusted option for continuing your education from a Christian worldview.
Yes, every program is 100% online and designed for your unique calling, from dual enrollment and undergraduate degrees to certificate programs and doctorate level study. They have options for the entire community that are biblical, affordable, accredited, and completely online.
All right, so here's the call to action. Take your next step toward your calling. Visit lutherrice.edu to learn more. Again, that's lutherrice.edu.
Well, I would imagine with this new workforce development framework that our local industries would be excited about this, right? Like when they see the partnership that the school system is saying, hey, we got 19, 20,000 kids that are coming through here. We want to have them ready, exposed to these different type of work, but also just the industries themselves. Like, hey, if you're in the third grade and you've heard Takeda, you're like, all right, what the heck is Takeda? And how do I get involved over there? That's awesome. In every other industry too. So what are you hearing from our industries? Like, are they excited about this? And what does that partnership look like? Could maybe even name some of them that you've talked to.
I mean, I think one of the things that was very apparent, I don't know if you were at the legislative breakfast the other day with the IDA or not, but the first thing that Sarah talked about was workforce development in schools. And so I think that in itself speaks for kind of what the priority is. For making sure that we really are, the number one provider of workforce. And I don't want anybody to walk away thinking that what we mean by that is that we're going to start feeding, 18-year-old kids straight into, workforce if that's not where they want to go. But as I said earlier, I think it's about everyone, whether you are going directly in or you're going to get a doctorate. You can be a part of the workforce in this community. And Sarah's been really instrumental in making those connections with those companies. One of the things we did early on, we can have great ideas, which, I mean, we do have great ideas. I'm just saying.
There's just so many
but
great ideas.
we can put all this stuff on paper
sometimes.
But if business and industry don't agree or they don't want to come along with us, it's really not going to matter. And so very early in this process, we started getting feedback from some of our legacy business and industry just to say, are we crazy? And in some cases they were like, yeah, you are.
Some of that's not right. Let's fix
this.
But
in other cases they were like, well, wait, we could tweak this. We could do it this way. And so that feedback, I think, was really, really important to us. I know we had Takeda at the table for that. Research
Automotive was there. Michelin was part of those initial conversations.
And even, the people at Rivian, through our visit, we got an opportunity to share kind of the direction we were moving in, and they gave us some feedback as well. So,
yeah. And I mean, I think those partnerships are so important. And part of why I think we can do this in Newton, this is my third school system, 27-year career in education, all in the career tech world. And it's the first place I've been where I felt like those folks wanted to talk to me, right? As a CTAE guy in the community, they sought me out in Newton. My first week on the job, I met with Sarah and her boss at the time, and we went through the economic development slide deck,
Right.
Yep.
and I'm at that point 17, 18 years in a career
Yeah.
tech world, and had never seen or talked to the community economic developer that
crazy?
In where I worked.
Yeah.
And so
you're saying it's unique in Newton County to some degree.
It's absolutely
It
unique.
is,
and
for sure.
And a lot of it because of that IDA, right? Our Industrial Development Authority serves as this liaison, sometimes translator, right? Because we'll start doing our edu-speak,
right,
and they'll start doing their industry speak, and we're both staring at each other. And typically, if we didn't have Sarah in the room, we would just be nodding and go, "Oh, okay, we'll make a note. Maybe we'll look that up."
right.
But
Well,
Sarah
and we
can
meet with
catch
Sarah
it.
regularly.
Yeah.
You
Right.
know, we have a standing meeting because there are new things coming in. You know, when they're recruiting business and industry to come in, you know, it used to be that the school system was probably not at the top of the list of things to say, hey, this is a reason you should come here. And now that's just not true. Now it's, hey, we want you to see all the great things. And so we have those conversations often with Sarah. And to me, that's part of what makes it so powerful is because when we say, well, what about this? She's like, no. This is the way business and industry would view that. I know you're going to ask about goals later on. Like, she was instrumental in us making sure that we had those goals because that's what business and industry want to see. This is great, but how are you going to measure it?
Yeah.
So.
Yeah. Well, let's just go there now. Like, how are we going to measure it?
Well,
how do we know if this thing works?
Before we go there, it'd be good to do a shameless plug that if you are an industry or business leader out in the community and you're not already engaging with this conversation at work, whether you're a healthcare person or a construction person or a manufacturing person or an IT person, call us, because when we start talking about doing this across all of our schools,
you need
the
all
list of business and industry partners needs to grow. We've got great partners, but again, not just a pizza party. We're not looking. We're not approaching business industry with a bucket. We're just collecting whatever it is that we're collecting. We're looking for real feedback, and we're looking to provide them with a service. So I think that's important to touch in here too. That as we launch district-wide workforce development, like partners need to come out of the woodwork and call us and call me, call Shannon.
Okay.
Talk to our principals.
Yeah, and I do. I mean, I know we thanked everybody at the convening, but the turnout we had was really, really great from local industry. And I do want to thank them for showing up. It's important. It's important for a multitude of reasons. Yes, we want to make sure you have what you need as a business and industry, but it's important for our kids. At the end of the day, this is all about our children and making sure that the kids in this community have access to the opportunities that already exist in this community. And so that's super important, but on to goals.
Okay.
Yeah. Well, let's talk about that. I one of the goals for me, I'll just tell you this, and then you can run into the goals if you want, because I'll tee it up this way. More than one time, I have heard high school students, 11th and 12th grade, and it's just a common question adults have with, seniors in high school. Hey, where are you going next? And they go, I don't know. Well, what do you want to be when you grow up? Gosh, I don't know. And you're like, oh my goodness, you're 12th grade. And the way college systems are set up these days, you kind of have to declare a major going in. I mean, when at UGA, like, you had to go, you can't just take 2 years of classes. Like, you got to go, I'm going to declare this, and then this is your pathway, and you can, of course, deviate from it. But how does the framework maybe help with what do I do when I grow up? How am I wired? What skills do I have? Through the whole, maybe that's exactly what the framework does with the exposure and the exploration and then the experiences. Maybe that's exactly what it does. And then
I think that's exactly the point, right?
It is.
Like that's exactly the point. And I think we've always known this, right? I mean, even when I went to school, I graduated and just went and did the thing that seemed to be what most people were doing. And I don't know that there was really a very clear plan. I think I knew what I wanted to do, although, 10 weeks in, I changed my mind. But, in my head, the beauty of this is once it's fully developed, when you're talking to elementary, middle, or high school students, it doesn't matter about the things they're doing in school, the things they're doing extracurricular or co-curricular, even the athletic team they're playing at the, church flag football. Like, let's have a little bit of them thinking, this is fun, but I'm also developing a toolbox that I'm going to need to be successful in the future. And that future can be anything I want it to be. And I know that there's a lot more out there than just the 3 or 4 things that they could list, and that they start being a little strategic, and parents start understanding how to have conversations, and our teachers and our counselors are more exposed to what's happening in these like secret boxes that we drive around, right? So they can have better conversations with students about, I use an example about a trash truck a lot, right? Like a kid stands up and I want to be a trash man when I grow up.
That was me.
I think
I loved it. I wanted to ride on the back of the truck.
You see the videos online of like the kid running out to the trash truck, and I think our natural sort of instinct is to grimace or think something about that, right? And I don't think that's the right way to go at all. And so I think this framework and sort of this way of thinking is going to change that conversation to where somebody might respond to that and go, trash is super interesting.
Right,
like, oh my gosh, let's talk about that. Like, have you seen the robot arm hanging off the new trash trucks?
Yeah.
Like, that's super cool. And did you know recycling and garbage and it building up is a huge problem in the world,
right?
That we're trying to solve. And maybe there's somebody in the lab developing some kind of weird trash eating, plastic eating bacteria that's gonna secrete cancer curing drugs. Who knows? But there's PhD level folks in the trash industry.
Right.
There's the people hanging off the back of the truck that are getting the high fives from the kids that are super excited to see them. But when we start saying, this kid's interested in something and excited about something, let's dive in, man.
Right.
Let's really talk about that.
Yeah.
And so whether that's marine biology or trash or mechanical engineering or healthcare or accounting or whatever it is, let's lean into that.
Yeah, that's great.
Right. And not only lean into like, let's talk about it, but did you know?
Right.
The geometry you're doing is going to help you frame the house to where it's square and you're going to be able to hang a picture, and all of these things are going to then tie together. So they start thinking about, oh, my science fair project connects to this, but also I think I might want to do blah, 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 blah when I grow up. And I learn these skills based on that thing.
Yeah.
I think I just realized why I can't hang pictures straight.
Geometry?
You don't. Were you bad at geometry? Oh, come on!
I was a social studies.
It's not
studies
inherited.
Girl.
You can be good at math.
I know I say when I was a principal, Newton really did shape a lot of who I am as an educator. But when I was at the district office before becoming principal, I really enjoyed this economic development work. And so I was really fortunate at that time that Ms. Fury let me dabble in it, working with Tim. And I really enjoyed it. So when I got to the school, I kind of continued some of that work, just, in my own little microcosm. But, we have great graduation rates in Newton County. We just celebrated that. I think it's 4 consecutive years above 90%. And so huge, huge accomplishments. But as a principal, I wanted to know where they were going after that. And so we started working with Tim's coordinator, John, to do this thing we called Every Senior, Every Chance. And what we wanted to know is, what's your plan? Like, I know you're walking across the stage, but you're once a Ram, always a Ram at that point, right? So what's your plan? I didn't want any child to walk across that stage without some sort of a plan. And so I think that's kind of where this is kind of going. We know we have a great graduation rate, but where are they going after that?
Right.
We know, I think it's something like 60% of them go to some sort of 2-year or 4-year school. Where are the other 40% going? And so making sure that if there's not a plan, if they have gotten to that point, let's stop, let's pause, let's take you to these places. Let's make sure we look at your U-Science data that everybody in the state of Georgia has access to and see where we should put you. And I can't give John enough credit for that because
John Pritchett.
Yeah, John Pritchett would come to the school and say, okay, these, 60 or 70 kids, they don't know. And so these kids can go on this field trip. We'll take them to this industry. And not only would we take them, we would prepare them ahead of time, help them get their resume ready. And then he would take them on the field trip to make sure that they actually got placed in jobs where they could be happy and successful. And so I think that's kind of the point of all of this, making sure that kids know they can have a plan and that plan can actually take place in our community.
And I think there needs to be a little bit of a why behind the plan.
Right.
Having a plan is one thing.
Right.
What are you going to do when you graduate? I'm going to West Georgia. Why?
Yeah.
Right. And like you said, you ask some of those seniors February, March, literally a month before graduation, they may have a plan, but it stops pretty much at like, I'm moving to Carrollton.
Right. One step. They have one step.
And how come? Because so-and-so went there and seems cool. What do you want to do? Well, it's thinking about blah, blah, blah. Well, they don't offer that major. Right. So maybe you should put a little more layers, a couple more bullet points in your plan. And so again, I think diving deeper, I think what Shannon did at Newton was amazing, because not only did she say, okay, I'm going to blah, 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 but she found ways to put in those deeper conversations. And I think that's where we're really going to see benefit, I think, right? Because everybody, I think, can talk about the surface level components of the plan. But when you really get into saying, I have a plan, I know why, and I've got a backup plan, and I can go this way, or I can go that way, and this is why I'm doing it.
I think that's great.
Golden, right?
Yeah, and it's like so you were one person passionate about it. You had a partner with John Pritchett who knew what to do. We want that everywhere,
correct?
Right, in all the schools, and we want not like you were seeking out the opportunities for these kids, right? Like you're going, hey, I see this need. There's this whole group of kids that are not having these experiences. They're not thinking like this. So I'm going to go provide that. That's a great leadership. Thank you for that. That's going to take some professional development for all of our teachers, K through 12, and our counselors and everyone else who helps kids, form and make these decisions. But I think what we'd love to see is when kids get to high school, they're asking for this, right? They're already going, hey, I've been exposed to all these different things. What next for me? Teacher or counselor or whatever, not the teacher counselor going, hey, let me expose some things to you. Like, they're like, no, I've been doing this for 9 years now. Like, point me in the right direction. I'm ready. Like, I'm ready to take on the next hill or whatever.
Right.
So
our counselors in this district are absolutely amazing. Let me just say that. And our teachers are phenomenal. And there's going to have to be some professional development. I think we kind of started that process back in the spring. I know you were involved in the Archway partnership that we have in the community. And so the first step that we took in that direction was taking principals on an industry tour. And so they came to a regular principals meeting. We loaded them up on a bus. I drove one of them. Really proud of that.
It was a van. Mike Barr would be upset if people thought you were driving a school bus.
It was a bus. Okay. It was a small
You have a
bus.
CDL, Shannon Buff.
Okay. It was a small bus.
All right.
But we took them to local business and industry. Again, that was an opportunity. They opened their doors to us.
Right.
And took them into these places because, I don't know about you, but when I first got told, I think we were going to Kia probably 10 or 11 years ago. And I remember looking at Miss Fury and saying, why am I going to a car plant? And she was like, no, you really need to go. And I'm like, okay, well, I don't want to get dirty. You could eat off the floor. It was so clean. And so I think kind of changing the narrative around what it looks like as opposed to what your view might be was really important. And so we were able to take all of our principals, K-12, to local business and industry. And then we went to the Bioscience Center and had a panel discussion about what this is and what it looks like. And this is really before the framework was done. And we were still in the process. But I think that was kind of our first step in doing that, to kind of get exposure for principals, because they're principals. Like they haven't necessarily been into our local business and industry. And so I think that was a lot of aha moments happened in those days.
And that really was a spinoff of our Connect Newton externship, educator externship. Since 2018, 2017, we've been taking teachers in the summer and embedding them in some of our local industries. And again, the aha moments that come every afternoon when they get back are amazing. And part of that is a testament to our companies. Those teachers come back at the end of day one, like, I'm Team Takeda, I'm Team Research, they feel like they're a part of the company. And a lot of credit, I think, goes to the companies for making them feel that way. But then that excitement trickles down into other things. And so you don't know what you don't know. And so part of the professional learning, I think, is just helping to expose. I mean, we're doing it in kindergarten, we're doing it in middle school, we're doing it in high school, but I think we also are doing it amongst our staff and amongst our folks, because again, you don't know what you don't know. And I would say, again, going back to the story of I'd never seen an economic development slide deck, in 17, 18 years of this work until I came to Newton. It only took 20 minutes for me to see it and realize the value and how that connects to, it changed my world and my outlook on what we need to be doing.
Yeah.
And I think, so that's a piece of the puzzle. And I think there's other things too, with professional development. I went through a Georgia Academy for Economic Development, early on. My first couple of 2 or 3 years here, it was something that Miss Fury had been through. Shannon may have done it. Mr. Walker and I went through. And again, just starting to see yourself different, right? And seeing future outcomes different. And I think as educators, most of us went to school, graduated high school, went to more school, graduated from college, went back to school to teach school, and then probably went to school again. Our view of the working world is a school building.
Right.
And so, thinking outside that box and the idea that all education is career education.
Right.
Harvard folks hopefully are going to have a career eventually, and so kind of flipping that mindset for teachers. So that, something we're tooling with is what would it look like to have like a Newton Academy for Economic Development for people to go through and for cohorts to go through. And again, part of that designation process is going to be for staff in their building to have ongoing PL related to this. We've got great literacy PL. We've got great
PL is
PLC.
professional learning for those listening.
Yeah. Oh, sorry.
Yeah.
Sorry.
It's-
We
Again,
the
there you go.
acronyms of
Edu-
education.
right?
Yeah.
We love an acronym.
We have a lot of professional learning for teachers and
We do in a lot of academic areas, and this is an area where we don't. Right, our CTAE teachers, get a good bit of this, but I think this idea that we're leaning into kind of expanding what that looks like and expanding maybe what happens in a faculty meeting from time to time, or how do we talk about it in our professional learning communities, as a component, I think is exciting.
Yeah. And so we've had Sarah come out and speak to our principals with that economic development slide deck. And then she opened it up and said, hey, I'll come to your schools. And so she has gone into some of the schools to do professional learning for them about what does economic development look like in Newton County. And I think that to me is phenomenal. I don't, I'm not in other districts, but I don't think those types of things happen the way they happen here.
Yeah.
Well, it opens up a natural conversation. Sarah and I oftentimes will tag team that presentation because she'll talk about economic development, workforce development, needs of the community, why it matters. And then I'll talk about, and by the way, the future looks a lot different. We talk about artificial intelligence, you talk about machine learning, you talk about, living in a world that we can't even imagine, right? Like Archer is turning, like the Jetsons model of getting places, right? Is going to be here pretty soon.
Right.
And I don't think most people are aware that stuff is happening. And so when Sarah starts talking about workforce, and I say, oh, by the way, our kindergartners are going to be really hitting their stride in the workforce in like 2060.
Yeah.
What does 2060 look like?
Right.
And imagine what it looked like when you and I were in high school. I didn't have a cell phone.
Right.
We had pagers. Did you have a pager?
Dating yourself.
Right. I was 38, 48.
I didn't have a pager in high school. It was much
definitely
later.
wore the
I had
pager
a
on the hip.
pager. And it's just the idea that, that technological advancement that's happened in my lifetime has been slow.
Right.
And things that were taking years before are now happening in weeks or months.
Right.
Means that our kids and our teachers have got to have conversations differently. And so, that conversation with Sarah, coupled with the idea of like, what's a future ready student look like? That it's a little scary. You go down the rabbit hole and you think, oh my gosh, what's the world going to look like? But I think throughout history, it's been that way. And what we know is if we can give our kids opportunities to explore and engage and get excited about and learn how to use the tools properly, society will continue to flourish and the next generation will be better than our generation and so on and so forth. And I think those conversations don't happen in a lot of districts because we're fixated on the standards, or we're fixated on the test scores, we're fixated on those things, and all of those things are important, and that foundation is a key piece. But again, like how am I going to use AI? How am I going to use medical advancements? What's it going to look like when everybody starts to live to be 115 years old? Because,
Right. Yeah.
we're we're so far technologically advanced.
Yeah.
Those are, to me, fun conversations to have with adults who are working with students, because they start thinking about,
right,
I've done it this way for 10 years, but Tim and Sarah came in last week, and maybe I need to start framing this bit of history that I teach a little differently.
Yeah.
Or whatever it is.
Yeah.
This episode of the Town Square Podcast is brought to you by our friends at the Appalachia Group Insurance.
When it comes to protecting my family, my home, and my car, I trust Bobby Stevens at the Appalachia Group Insurance Company. Bobby and his partner Matt McLean are both licensed in Georgia and Tennessee, and they have been insurance experts for a combined over 36 years.
What makes the Appalachia Group different? Well, they're independent. That means they're not locked into just one carrier. They shop around for you to find the best coverage at the best price, from auto, home, and life insurance to commercial policies, and even special event coverage. They've got you covered.
And let me tell you, Bobby isn't just a great agent. He's a trusted advisor. He's winsome, likable, and responsive. Every conversation I've had with him leaves me more confident that my insurance needs are in good hands.
That's right. So if you're looking for insurance that works for you, not the other way around,
call my guy Bobby Stevens at the Appalachia Group Insurance today. You can reach him at 770-728-1880. That's 770-728-1880. Or send him an email at bobby@appgroupsins.com. That's Bobby at appgroupins for insurance.com. I want to kind of wrap this thing up by just kind of lobbing this grenade out here, and then you guys kind of take it from here. But, it's one of the things I hear, and I'm sure you guys hear it too in the CTAE world. You've been trying to solve this problem forever. People say, well, not everybody should be going to college, and we spent way too much time sending kids to college. And, in the education world, I think there's great need for that still, and there's going to be, jobs that you need that pathway to get there. But what about our plumbers and our electricians and all these? How does this framework, first of all, just to answer the fact that we've been doing this work for a while, right? It's like, so Newton County is not, this is not, oh, wait a minute, we need some plumbers? Let's get on this thing. I mean, this has been part of our work for years. But how does this framework now help us get everyone prepared for the next steps? And then what is it like, just what really excites you about this in the next 5-10 years?
So I think for me, I think I'm going to combine those two. So like you, I live here, I work here, I worship here. And so I've been a part of this community longer than I was a part of any other community at this point. And so providing opportunity for all of our children, educational excellence for all, is really important to me. It's really important to me that kids leave our school system with a plan, with an idea that they can go be whatever they want to be. And a lot of it can be done in this county. And so, it's a great cycle for us to get into. Success breeds success. We've seen new business and industry come in, and some people may not love that, but in this world of economic development right now, you're either growing or you're dying. And so the fact that we are growing, the fact that we do have opportunities, it's just the future is so bright for our kids. And I've seen so many amazing kids throughout my tenure in Newton County schools. And so giving every child every chance to be successful is really what excites me. It really, really does. I think our future in this district is so bright. And I don't just say that as a cliche. I really, really do. And I think this framework, creating this seamless opportunity for kids to get their academics, their CTAE, and workforce development all at one time, it's innovative, it's exciting, and it's going to change lives.
Yeah. Amen.
Yeah. You probably should have let her go second. So
Sorry.
that was a really, really powerful. Yeah, I can't do it that way. I think for me, you mentioned college, sort of the college going mindset, and I don't think it's not college or career. It's college and career readiness, right? It shouldn't be one or the other. Well, what I'm most excited about is this framework helps structure, scaffold those conversations around success. Doesn't look like, you can't open the encyclopedia. And dating myself
Right,
again.
there you go.
You can't open up the Google and type in
with your pager.
or maybe it's ChatGPT now, right? Dear ChatGPT,
Right.
what does success look like for me?
Yeah.
Like there's not a picture that is success. What success is that you find something that gets you excited, that you're passionate about, that you can dive into, and set yourself out apart from the rest of folks who are also into and interested in that, right? I mean, at the end of the day, we're graduating students. The people next door to us are graduating students. We want our kids to be more competitive. And so this kind of thing says, hey, look, there's a roadmap. You figure out what you're excited about. There's some kind of a Japanese term, ikigai, I think it's called. It's like reason for being or something. And so there's one particular part of Japan where people live longer than anywhere else in the world.
Oh, because they have this.
And they studied it. And it isn't like diet or this or that or the other. It's their ikigai. And I hope I'm getting that right. Like you guys can fact check me, but it's something like that.
Ikigai.
And like if people kind of wake up with a sense of like, this is why I'm here, or this might be why I'm here, and let me figure that out, and then all of a sudden it's, yes, I can go straight to work. Yes, I can go to a technical college. Yes, I can go to a 2-year, I can get an associate's degree, I can go to a 4-year, I can go to grad school, whatever it is, or I can do all of those things on my way to that thing that is my reason for being. And for every single person, that path looks different. And I think if we can demystify and debunk the idea that like this path to success is a straight line, then to me that's where it's exciting. And I think as my kids have gotten older, right, I just sent one off to college. I've got another one who's a sophomore in high school. One's going to be an engineer, one wants to be a band teacher, right? They're total opposites. But as I've navigated my own personal children, it also gives me a chance to reflect on, all these students that I've taught and all these students that I've come in contact through my various roles. I want all the same great opportunities for all of them that my kids were able to have. And I really want them to find their sweet spot, because when my kids found their sweet spot,
game changer.
I mean, it was a game changer. Absolutely. And so I think we're just providing opportunities for kids to find their sweet spot and then make themselves competitive.
Right.
Right. Like we have competitive robotics teams at all levels. We have, and that's good for engineers, but it's also good for people who need to be able to talk in an interview, that people need to be able to explain their thinking. That people need to be able to work together without melting down, right? Same reason athletic teams or fine arts are important. All of those pieces of the puzzle. And that's what I think excites me, is this gives us a chance to frame workforce in a way that isn't like, oh, that's that hall over there, or that's those kids, or that's the people who are going to work right after high school. No.
It's everybody.
Workforce development is in our fine arts halls. It's in our athletic fields. It's everywhere, because all of those skills and all those great things you're doing and all of those things you're involved in are building you into the workforce person that you're going to be in whatever it is that excites you and whatever it is that your reason for being, your ikigai. I hope I got it right.
I'm going to be ikigai.
We'll
ikigai all day. I like
think
that.
That's it. I think that's it.
Well, thank you guys, man. I appreciate it, and just love what the school system's doing. I'm a bit partial, certainly, but I love the direction. I'm like you. I think the future is so bright for Newton County and Newton County students. And we know that a great school system is just part of a great community,
right?
Great businesses, great school system, great faith-based organizations, nonprofits. All those are part of it. And just to see kind of all this line up and really see the uniqueness of Newton County, where all these partnerships really do exist. This is really cool, y'all. Like, we really are standing on the precipice of something that's super cool.
I think so too.
It's going to be great for our kids and great for our community.
Yep, absolutely.
Yeah. Well, thanks for being here today. And if anybody has any questions, we're going to put your emails and contact information in the show notes. And then, of course, maybe a link to the Workforce Development Framework, so people can dive in and maybe find some of those goals and some of those other things that are really cool that we didn't get to talk about.
Yep.
All right. Thanks, guys.
Thank you.
All right. See you.